Hello and welcome back again to the Selfishly podcast. My name is Seb or Sebastian Corvey. This is episode 7 and exciting today. I have one of my really good friends named Dragana Przujj on. I've known her for about 6, nearly 7 years now, and so I really wanted to have a chat with her on the podcast. We actually tried to record this once before, but it didn't work out. We just kept getting interrupted, and I wanted to have the full podcast experience with Dragana. So I'm so glad that we got to do it again, and we didn't even really talk about that many things that we spoke about in the first one, which is kind of cool. We did still talk about a lot of stuff. Like, we went in on personal behavior and thought patterns and how we react to things. We also spoke a lot about being a creative and figuring out life. We also went down a huge tangent about technology and personal information and data, and it's all really fun and interesting. And I'll again stop rambling and finally let you guys listen to the episode. So enjoy and take it away, me. Keep talking now, or do you want me to stop, or just keep going? But
yeah, no,
it's all
yeah.
strange. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Anyways, so I should probably introduce you.
Sure.
So, welcome to the Selfishly podcast. My name is Seb or Sebastian Corvey. Today, episode 7 now. I'm here with my guest, Dragana.
Przulj.
She's here with me today. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
It's okay. So, this is actually the second time we tried to record this podcast. The first time we tried to do it was about 3 weeks ago. And we tried to do it before I had a pumpkin party, Seboween, where we just carved pumpkins. And we tried to record it beforehand, but got interrupted like 3 times by different things that happened. And the conversation ended up just being, it was still a good conversation, but it was a chaotic one.
Yeah.
And we hadn't seen each other for
imagine.
ages, so it just like was all like flowing out. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm glad I still have that though.
I know, you can just have that forever in your
Yes.
memory.
But yeah, so now we can probably record one now. Thank you for coming.
No worries.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Do you remember how we met? Or when we met?
Yes. I don't remember exactly
You
like
can
the
tell the
time.
story
I think it was
this
like
time.
early 2013.
No, it was
wasn't it?
2013.
Or 12. No, 13.
No, it was 2013. It was like
It was?
February.
Yeah. No, it was because Pierce had his
In
party.
March? No, but Piers, it was when he came. It was his homecoming
Oh,
party.
okay, that's right. It wasn't, because I was going to say, because his birthday is in November, so. But I wasn't sure if it was like birthday or. But I remember, I think you said that last time that it was just
I'm pretty sure it was
coming
coming
back.
home
Sorry,
party.
party. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was one of the
Anyways.
infamous Hessling parties that
Yes.
everyone would rave about after we went to them, and you were there with Keisha, who is like your friend too, but like I didn't know you then. My friend Tegan's sister, and so she brought you along, but she was obviously friends with PS too, so she like brought a +1, and then you were talking to Tegan or something, or like, and then we just started talking. I'm pretty sure it was in the hallway. I remember literally meeting
Yeah,
like in the toilets.
Yes. No,
The
we
toilet, yeah.
definitely did go to the toilet together. But that was the very first day we met.
Wow.
And it was such like a quick, rapid friendship. Because I suppose when you meet a new person, depending on them, and you don't usually like jump like.
Not you
quickly
wouldn't
into
do
it,
that
you know
now.
what I mean? No.
Definitely, I don't reckon. Because before everyone would add each other on Facebook. Oh, what do you have Facebook? Like, what's your Facebook?
Yeah.
Let's add each other. Then you kind of like message and stuff. Whereas now, if I met someone new, I wouldn't like ask them for their Facebook. It's usually like Instagram or something.
Yeah.
But that's not very connected, I don't feel, because it's just like certain photos, and they might not even have it a lot on there or whatever. Like, whereas Facebook, it seemed more like you actually were messaging to actually build like a friendship or whatever.
Yeah. I just remember how we got along really well.
Yeah.
And it was like, from thinking now and from how I've told this story before, the thing I just keeps coming back is we just like were on the same level of like wanting to have fun and like joke around, but like we kind of understood each other at the same time.
I think
Does
so.
that make sense?
Yeah, like on like a different level, like that. Not deeper level at all, because it's not like we didn't have those deep moments or conversations or whatever with other people, but it was like, you sometimes just find that person that you just easily connect with like that in the friendship group, like, because sometimes you have friends for not like different reasons at all, like everyone was friends because everyone got along, but it's like,
But no, I know what you mean, like, it's probably different for each person in the group, probably, but like, you would, when you think of certain things, maybe like someone would come straight to mind, like, in different ways.
Definitely.
Yeah, we just got it. I felt like we just got it.
We connected.
I was thinking after we had done our recording of like more memories I had with you, and I was thinking of all the times we actually didn't go to uni.
Oh yeah.
To just go hang out at each other's houses, or I don't even know what else. That's really what we did.
Literally, I have so many photos, like on the bed or whatever, or doing something, or even going out and got lunch or coffee or whatever.
Yes.
And like, I think we would both go like, we'll go into uni together. That's why we'll go. Like, you come to mine, or I'll come to your house.
Yeah.
Or I'll pick you up. We'll drive to the station. We'll get the train.
And
so
then like
we'd get each other and just be like, "Do you want to go?" Like,
yeah.
I don't want to go.
It was like we were. It's like when people do it, like when people get gym buddies, and it's like, let's keep each other accountable, like, we'll go. That was kind of the goal, but it just ended up us indulging each other of being like, no, we don't need to go today.
Yeah, like, it's like the end of semester, I've got like heaps of stuff due, but like, it'll be fine if I don't go today.
Oh my
And then like hoping our parents wouldn't find out as well. Literally. Even though we're uni students and it shouldn't matter, but we're like, they're just gonna judge us.
Yeah. We were still fresh enough out of like school that it was like we were still children.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
because did you have a gap year, or did you go straight
I went
from
straight.
uni from high school?
Yeah. Did you have a gap year?
I didn't, but I took a gap year after our first year. So after our first year of uni, and like I met you guys and everything,
I remember.
I was like, I don't have anything to say. No, I literally felt like I was like, what am I meant to take photos of or try create in an artistic way if I haven't got anything to say? So I was like, I just need to take a gap year and live my life. And I mean, my second year folio when I went back ended up being about the boyfriend I met while I was away. So it kind of
You did have a story then,
Yeah, so thanks me.
Thank you for taking on for the team and doing what was best.
Did you end up, because you never did a gap year then?
Nah.
No. Was that for any reason?
No, not really. I don't know. Like, I think there was like, my mum didn't really, actually no, do you know what? Hindsight again, like we were talking about, but now I think about the stuff that my mum said to me like when I was like younger, and like I felt like there was so much pressure, but I know if I had just sort of like pushed back just saying, said, no, I don't want to, like, it's not right for me right now to go to uni, she probably would have just backed off, like, eventually.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it was more like I had this assumption that she would be like, no, you have to go, so it's just easier to just go.
Yeah.
And like, not that I was unhappy at uni or anything, and I didn't just do a course because she, like, the course that she wanted me to do or didn't want to do, like, she was happy for me to do anything, but I think she did want me to go to uni because she was like, you're going to be a bludger otherwise and do nothing and like just stay at home, and I'm like, I would have found a job and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess that's sort of like one reason, but I also like I wanted to, but then I think that's why after uni, like, it was almost like I had a gap year, like instead of like looking for graphic design jobs or focusing on more uni or whatever people do after that, it was just like, cool, let's party and party and party and party and party.
Yeah, I completely realized in first year of uni that, well, I didn't realize at the time, but I realized in hindsight that I was much more interested in the social aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Of like meeting, well, I had met you guys, a completely new like friendship group, and then I was now like studying in the city, and I had my uni friends, and you go out to the city and like, oh, I'm an adult now, like I have my, and I just like, but which is so like funny to say because I was acting so childish at the same time of being like, you know what I mean, of being like, I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want, but I was being like an idiot.
It's so funny to think about now.
So strange.
Because now I still don't feel like I'm an adult, but I'm so much obviously older than like we were then. But I still don't feel old,
I know,
like an adult.
When I ever get that, because I do, I'm like, am I an adult? Like, I got into this patch a couple weeks, maybe a month or so ago, of being like, of just thinking as a means of trying to figure out what I was, what just what.
What does
I
this
said
mean?
if I like met my younger self, what would they think? And one of the thoughts I thought was just like, you're not an adult. Like that they would think, like if I was little and I saw me now, my idea of an adult when I was a child
Oh,
isn't like what I think
yeah.
it is now.
No.
And I was like, well, then thinking of that, is that like a good thing or a bad thing? Because my idea of an adult when I was younger, because I was always worried about when I was younger about being like stuck in the rat racey sort of thing. But then when you think of an adult, you think they've got their life together, everything's fine.
They have kids,
But,
marriage, or
yeah.
whatever, like a house, or
But then that's like completely, and that's not even like, I don't know.
that doesn't
what I
define
wanted.
being an
Yeah.
adult. And
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's not
That's
what you
the-
want now anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And even like you said before, like adults, like your dad like getting a new job and stuff, like that's change, and like that's something that he probably didn't think was going to happen
Yeah.
when he was at this age. When he was younger, thought everything would just be like playing out as perfectly as it should be. But there's always going to be unexpected like things that happen, or it's just going to be different to what you assumed, because what you wanted when you were a kid was what all that you knew and all that you think you wanted. And then when you get older, you obviously experience more things, so you're like, your values change, like, and yeah, your goals change, and like who you are and like who you're friends with. So obviously like what you want is going to be different to what you expected.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you're like, what the hell? Like, yeah, I always think about that too. I'm like, well, if I was like 16, I thought I would have had like 3 babies by now and all this sort of stuff. But now I'm like, no,
not
I
likely
don't
right
think
now.
so. Yeah.
No, it's a strange thing, just because why does it matter? Like, why does it, like, as long as I am happy, doing well, have good relationships with family, friends, and whatever, and getting by, is like, is that like, what is that can that be enough sort of thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And who defines the enough?
like why? Yeah, exactly. Why isn't that enough?
Yeah.
And so, I suppose it becomes a blend of like expectations from yourself and then your family and then I don't know, work environment, like if it's a competitive sort of thing, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I was watching this movie, I feel like I've probably probably mentioned this a couple of times on the podcast before, about this movie I've watched called Arrietty, and it's a Studio Ghibli like Japanese animation film. And it's about this tiny people who live in a tiny house inside a normal human house. And their whole life is literally just about surviving, getting food, all those like silly things. I know it sounds so silly because it's literally just an animation film, but I was in this weird place where I was watching it and was like, these tiny people are happy with their little content life of just like having to work to provide, to survive sort of thing. And the thought I was thinking was, why can I not be happy with just having enough? Like, why does it constantly have to be more and more sort of thing?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm still thinking about all these things. But, and I know it's more complicated than that, because obviously tiny people in a tiny house don't have to pay electricity or like fire, bills, or not that I pay electricity bills at the moment. No, but like, yeah, I know,
I get what you mean.
and yeah, I know it sounds silly, but it was
No.
just like, because, well, I mean, think about people in other countries who have the bare minimum and they're all happy.
Yeah.
Like, why, like, are we a product of, going back to kind of what we were talking about before, are we just a product of like where we live? I suppose it's like when sometimes you complain and someone might be like, don't complain about that, you've got everything to be grateful for.
Yeah.
It's like, it's relative though, like
To what's
to
happening in your
me,
life
yeah,
now.
it's like in my life and everything that's happening around me, it makes me upset and it is really bad.
Yeah.
And I haven't experienced having to live in these terrible conditions, so I haven't got that same, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like how can you compare it to that when you've
Yeah.
never had to live like that? I think we talked
And
about
it's-
this the first
yeah,
time
we probably
a little
did.
bit. And you actually made a good point. You're like, well, why would I like base it off that?
Yeah.
Because I've never experienced that. Like I've got my own troubles and happinesses and stuff like that. Like not
And-
that you shouldn't care about other people and
Yeah.
like how maybe
It's like, as long,
Yeah.
well, it's like, I'm not trying to diminish the level of its impact on them or whatever, but I'm privileged enough to be in the situation where that's not my circumstance.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm still unable to get upset or like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But that's it's all just crazy. It's hard. It's just hard.
Yeah, it's like, because I think especially nowadays it's such a like thing of like, you know, self-care and self-love, and like that's awesome. Like I love that sort of stuff, but at the same time it's like you should be grateful for everything that you have, so don't ever complain about anything. Like you should be happy that you can breathe, and it's like, well, of course I'm happy I can breathe.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm grateful for that, but it's like, but yeah, I'm still gonna maybe be upset that I don't know, like, yeah, like, you're going to be upset about something that maybe wouldn't ever affect someone else because they've got it worse off and they're going to think about the good things only in their life. But it's, like, about, I don't know, I think it's, like, you have to find, like, a balance. Like, yeah, I don't like going to work every single day, for example. So what can I, like, instead I complain to you every single day and message you every morning, fuck work, I can't be bothered. You'd be like, well, do something about it. Quit your job, go find another job. But like at the same time I would be like, oh, but that's like that's the worst job I've had, so like, you know, I'm allowed to complain about it. But I think as like a person, like as yourself, you have to be like, okay, what can I actually change about this situation? Like, because sometimes things happen to you, like, I don't know, just like you lost your job, you didn't know that was going to happen, you couldn't change that, like you got fired, or you got, you know, you lost like a friendship, or you lost like a partner or something like that. Like, not lost, that sounds weird, but like someone broke up with you, or, you know, a friendship like was fallen out due to the other person. Like, that's something that you can't control, so obviously you're going to be really upset about that because you have no control of it. But I think if you can have control of like what you're complaining about, in a way, like someone did something to annoy you, like, but they didn't know that they did that to annoy you, like they left, like I was saying before, like Ben leaves the hairdryer out or something, and like he doesn't know that annoys me, just say, but until I tell him, and then like if I don't tell him though, what can I do to change it? Okay, either tell him or put it away myself. And if he keeps doing it, then like, okay, yeah, you have maybe a right to not get annoyed, but you know, like there's something, if you've already communicated it, you can change it. Like, I hate my job. Okay, well maybe I'll try look for a job and be a bit more active with that. Like, and then we'll, you know. Yeah.
I totally get that. It's like when like you're saying, when it's over things that you can change. I literally had a friend once who had a job that she hated, but she was complaining about it so much, and I was like, you need to quit your job and get a new one. Don't even have to quit. Start looking for a new one, get one, and then quit. Just, if you're complaining about it so much, like, you just need something different. You need, like, it's obviously...
Like the answer's obvious to you, but to them, it's, like, not obvious at that moment. So that's, like, where it's, like, again, like, about balance. Like, 'cause you want to be, like, empathetic and, like, compassionate to them, to be like, I understand where you're coming from, I'm here for you, like, all that stuff. But then sometimes you're just sort of, like... But then I think sometimes people do need that too. Like, they need to be told, like, hey, you need to change it then. Like, stop complaining about it. And, like,
sometimes it literally just takes hearing it from the right person or, like, at the right time. Like, this sounds true. So stupid, but it is so true. I was watching a interview with Jake Gyllenhaal about a movie because I love him. He was in an interview for a movie, but they were asking him about Taylor Swift, and they were like, because they dated.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, do you regret that? And he was like, I am the person I am as a result of everything I've been through. So I wouldn't ever regret that. It was a part of like, that made me happy at the time. And that's what I wanted to do. So why would I regret that? And just hearing that, I was just like, he's right.
That's so true.
We are, like, he was right. And that just, like, trajected my like
it's like a light bulb,
but it sounds like one of those things where it's like, obviously we are though, like, obviously, but it's like, not one of those things you properly think about until like you just actually think about it.
Like, it's like if you tell someone constantly, you need to change this, you need to change that, and then they hear it from an interview and they're like, oh my god, like, that makes sense now, like, this is what blah 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 was telling me, like, it makes complete sense. Because sometimes people have to, like, realize it on their own as well. Like, you can't 100%. Just, like,
people
them about it. Like,
people have to make the decisions, or people are gonna make the decisions
they want to,
or that they have to. Or, like, you can't do it for them.
And what they believe is right for them. You might be saying, you shouldn't go to the US, Seb, like, what are you doing? Like, because this happening, but you're like, no, I'm gonna go because it's good for me and I'm really happy to do it.
Yeah, and
like,
I
you know?
need this. Yeah. No, but it's true though. It's all strange. People are so strange.
That's why you
I
just
think
have
it just
to.
comes back to that.
I think so too. Like, you just gotta be nice to people when you can. Like, you don't have to be nice to everyone. Because I know, like, I did a lot of people pleasing when I was growing up, and like even still kind of now, but I've gotten a lot better. Like, because I was always so scared of what people would like think of me and like if they would like me. But now I'm like, I actually don't really care about that much anymore. Like, I don't care about it now, but I have seen it's happened where I still like act like I care about it, or like my actions do it, even though my head's saying like, no, you don't care, blah blah blah. But then I'm like, well, why did I just do that then? Like, I should have said no. And like, I've tried to have like more boundaries with like stuff that I don't want to do, so like people understand like that's actually not something I'm into, or like like it doesn't like
I understand.
subscribe to my life right now, so I'm not going to do that. And like, whereas before I would have been like, yeah, of course I can do that for you. Oh, yeah, no problem. Oh, like, that's cool. Like, but now I'm like, whoa. It makes you think a lot. Cause you're like, how much did I like kind of fake it, like with other people, to be like like what you sort of said before, like the idea that I want them to think of me, but not just me. And like then you're anxious about meeting them, and you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and not actually listening to what they're saying, and you kind of zone out, and it's like not good though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
it's just complicated. I think it's
life
hard.
Is a process.
Life is a process. I think it just comes back to changing a habit, changing a way of thinking is hard.
Yeah.
And that's literally, like, I know we were just joking about it, but it is a process.
It is a process. and that's life to change, and things are going to happen.
And it's think about the way we think now is based on 26, 25 years of things. Like, there are some things that we are still probably not even aware of, or don't even recall, that are so subconscious.
Yeah.
That was just ingrained into us when we were little.
Yeah.
And like, that's not to be anything dramatic, but it's literally might just be about like, I'll like, a good example maybe, when I was little, I would go to parties with mum and dad or family friends and stuff. You would always just get in like that mood of like, okay, this is how you act at a party. This is what to say. You know, this the sort of conversations you have. And that's not like me being explicitly told, but based on all parties and things, and then the conversations that have gone well, how they've worked, that I've taken note of, and the things that aren't funny or that people don't respond to, you know, like all those little things over thousands upon thousands of different interactions are built up what we are now. Yeah. And so then having to change all of that, it's not just one thing you think of that is gonna, okay, I've thought of that now, and now I'm aware of it, it's going to change. Yeah. It's like you have to, it's all the conscious effort.
Exactly.
It's like complicated because although I get frustrated when I talk about the things I want to change, I kind of get relieved in the fact that, okay, well, at least like this time I got to a spot sooner than I might have, where I realized what I was kind of having a problem with and how to make it better. Yeah. And that's better from when I used to be like that and wouldn't even have that introspection of myself and just be then stuck in that funk until I got pulled out of it from
or something
whatever
bad happened. Like, not bad, but like, you know, like a big event, like you
there's a reason
kind of
to
rock
stop.
bottom, and then oh shit, whereas now it's sort of like something bad happened, but then now I understand, now I can be okay, and now something good's gonna happen. Like, it's about balance. I think because when you're younger, like you always think, oh my god, everything's so good, and then something little happens that's bad. It's the worst thing in the world because you've never experienced anything else that's sort of bad in a way. Even if it's just you like cracking it, and then you're like you cracking it all day, and then your family members like yells at you really bad, and you're like, oh my god, why'd they yell at me? And they're like, oh, maybe because I was being a little shit the whole day. And then they finally like, no, you can't be a little shit anymore. And then that's like rock bottom, and that's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life. And then now you're like, oh, I was a little shit, but I don't want to act that way. So if they talk to me again, I'm going to say apologize, or I'm going to be nice, or I'm going to change the way I act, or try and fix like how I'm feeling before I go out with people. But like that would be like, now the older, you'd be like, oh, sorry, I don't really feel like going out because I don't feel too good mentally, or like, you know, I'm in a bit of a funk, so maybe we can go out next week though. Whereas when you're younger, yeah, you just be like, I got a flat tire, or like, I can't do it, you know, like, just because you don't want someone to think of you differently, and like you don't want to be open.
No,
but when you're open with yourself and you like yourself and like, or you know, I don't know.
I mean,
like,
that's the goal.
Yeah, you'd hope
like
though. Shit, do we though?
Figuring it out
likes
still.
himself? But yeah, once you're confident with who you are and like happy, it doesn't actually always mean that you like everything about yourself, because that's like you changing, not changing, but like, yeah, adapting and like evolving and being like, oh, I picked up that I did that weirdly or wrong. Not weirdly,
I know, yeah.
but just like I'm not happy with how I acted there. I'm going to work on changing that the next time I'm in that situation. But I feel like when you're younger and you're like building up who you are, it's like you said before, like, oh shit, that wasn't funny. Like, oh, these group of people didn't find it funny. So you kind of like completely like reject that part of you, like in any group.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And then when sometimes it might like not slip out, but just you're comfortable with someone and you say something that you wouldn't have said in this group because you already like, shit, they've got this image of me, and then they laugh and you're like, oh, like I can say that. Like, that's okay to say, like, not okay, because that sounds like not like bad or good things to say, but just mean like a part of yourself that's like out there and people actually like you or respect you, or they laugh at you, your jokes, or you're like they connect with you and you're like, what, like I can't believe I shut this part of me down for so long because I thought no one would like me. But it's like, well, how can anyone sort of like or not like you when you're not even showing them yourself? Like, of course they're just going to go off what these little snippets they see of you, but if you don't tell them what you feel or how you feel or what you believe in, or even just show them like in the way you dress or like what you like, then no one's going to.
How can you expect them to know if they don't know?
Yeah, and you can't sit there and go, no one understands me. And like, of course you can feel that way, and like sometimes people don't understand you, and that's like where you sort of like reject those parts of you because someone has completely shut you down all the time, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not okay to be that way, I guess. Like, or I can't wear that, or I can't say that.
Yeah.
Like, no one thinks it's funny, it's not cool. But then when you accept yourself again, and like you will find like the people who are like, that's so cool, or like, I respect that, that's cool, like. I don't know.
It's all actually just complicated. And it's like
it's not one dimensional.
No, it's everything's very layered, and you like.
Are you trying to say like, you know, if like just say you called me today to come over, and I was like, yeah, what do you want? Like, 'cause like just say, or like I wasn't like that, but I was like, yep, cool, like really like short, because just say my dog just ran out the front yard or something. That's a really weird example, but like, you know, I'm just trying to like paint a picture, and then you're sort of like, oh, that was a bit weird. Why was she so short on the phone? Maybe she doesn't want to come. Yeah. But like, you don't know that I had to quickly rush because I wanted to quickly grab my dog. Yeah. But
so
like,
it would be quicker for me to be like, hey, are you okay?
Or me to go, hey, can I call you back because my dog's just run out the front, and then go, oh, hey, anyway, like, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
But instead, oh, I'll just talk to you later. Yeah. Like, and I guess like you don't really do that with people you don't see all the time, but like. Your really close friends and family, like you tend to sort of do that snappy thing straight away and like assume that they know, but if you don't know, you gotta ask. And
exactly.
You gotta tell too, like people gotta communicate as well as the other end of asking instead of just assuming. Mic drop.
Okay, well, we just went on a huge tangent right there.
Yeah. You're gonna cut that out, right?
Yeah, oh, that whole thing. Yeah.
Now put it in.
Just like,
oh my god, that's what it'd be like.
When I was editing the first one before I decided to re-record, I like literally said Dragana and then just had you going Przulj.
Oh, and then, that's the bit. It's just like a full robot. Przulj.
That's like the Microsoft.
Yeah.
Like the Google or whatever.
The translator. Like,
it's like Siri. Do you have like Google Home or Siri or something? Would they say Przulj? I suppose they'd say correctly.
Oh, I think you can teach it how to say it. So like you can say, oh no Siri, my name is Dragana, because they might be like Dragana, and I'm like, no, it's Dragana, and then they give you like 3 options. Did you like mean Dragana? Like, you know, they'll say it different ways, and you go, okay, it's like option 3.
I saw this the wildest TED talk about why, like, it was a female programmer of like AI, and they were like trying to make AI systems, and she was talking about how the reason why not a lot of like Google Home, Apple stuff, Siri, whatever, like AI program assistants are female is because that's like our subconscious way. We prefer to have a female in a like secondary helpful position.
Yeah,
as opposed
rather than a male.
man thing. And they like did tests, and it was all like
Wow.
it was all like this issue was really interesting, and she was talking about like all this really I can't do it any justice, but it was really interesting.
That is really interesting
Yeah.
because like you know you hear some people like they will have a like because yeah Siri's usually straight away a girl, like people can choose to have a man,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I've heard a lot of
Alexa.
people, yeah.
All I remember like the TomToms in the cars, like the GPS old like sat nav
Yeah.
things. They were like it's all like what's it called? Default.
Yeah,
The default setting
yeah.
is always like the
A woman,
female voice.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was saying we can't expect to have like a good relationship with advancing technologies if we continue to like treat technologies and machines the way we do. And there was all saying like cannot do statistics, but she was saying all these statistics about like the amount of time someone will like swear at them, and then the amount of time people would apologize for swearing, and then the people who wouldn't, or like hurl abuse at it, or like, you know what I mean, like say fuck you Siri, and then be like, oh, don't say that, and they'd be like, what the fuck, like shut the fuck up bitch, and then like, or they'd be like, I'm sorry Siri, I didn't mean to like shout at you.
Oh.
And it was like all these different ways people communicated with it then impacts, and especially if they're learning ones, it impacts how they learn. So it's like a company released like an AI, a Twitter bot
Yeah.
that learned through conversations with real people, and it ended up being like a racist Nazi, like homophobe, like it was like quite, it happened so quickly because it was like actually a thing that happened. It was wild.
And that was just from what people were
Yeah, I think it might have been a
to it.
Google like or a Microsoft like AIs, like it was just like a bot, because like there's bots for everything everywhere.
Well, yeah, and can you imagine what people like would say to their phones, and like because they think that they're, I don't know, like just like do it on their phones and like say it to their phones like in private.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
they're
yeah.
not gonna say it to you maybe, but they're gonna say it on their phone.
Yeah.
Or search it or whatever.
Well, if they're in a bad mood and what they accidentally click on something and they're in the middle of something and Siri pops up and
Yeah,
they're like,
oh,
oh
fuck
fuck you,
off,
yeah,
Siri,
fuck you,
jeez.
yeah, it's such a bad, like you don't know how
Yeah.
people act in those times.
No.
People like, it's, to me, I mean, I don't have Siri or like Alexa or Google Home or anything, so I'm never really in that situation to do it. But if I sometimes get frustrated at like I was playing video games and I was getting so frustrated at like the inanimate objects. I would like of the game, like, you know, it was just
Yeah,
like,
you just
and I was
do.
like, you fucking stupid thing is like, but that was just like a thing.
You
And
don't
so
think someone would actually be? I mean, not that your phone. Oh, is it being
Well-
recorded or is it not? That's a big question.
well, it is though.
It is. Well, yeah, but I
Facebook,
guess,
Google.
yeah. And you know that it happens, it's like, because I was making a website for my mum, and like, no, actually, I don't think we even made it. We were just Googling something, and like, because we already had the website, like, shipped to another company, and then we got a call on the office phone. It's like, hi, like, so we see that you were like, you know, looking
my
for a
gosh.
website, or like that your website is really bad. And I was like, our website's fine. So do you want like a new one? And we're like, no, like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, that's so strange, because I mean, I don't think it happened like minutes after or anything, but it
It's
was
still,
been, like,
that's
the
still
time.
strange though.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
it's
how
like,
are you getting this information?
well, it's like when you say, like, everyone knows that situation when you're talking about a really obscure, like, oh, racing cars, and then you go on Google or whatever, and then you have all these ads, or
Yeah.
Facebook, and you go and see all these ads for racing cars.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's actually happened to a friend of mine. Like, they literally were just talking about it. Like, because you know, if you type it and then you see the ad, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I understand. Like,
Yeah.
you sent it to someone or something like, or you Googled it. Completely fair enough. It comes up on all the other like social media apps. But they were just literally talking about it, and it was something really weird like that too. It was like, I think it was like badminton or something like stupid. Like, they don't ever talk about. They would have never searched it because everyone was just sort of saying like, we should all play. And then it literally came up like on one of their Googles or like their ads on Facebook, and they were like, I swear, like, we didn't search it. Like, so something, yeah, was obviously turned on, some sort of ad microphone.
Yeah.
'Cause data is like
well,
way more valuable than a lot of like stuff nowadays, they say.
Well, I watched a TED Talk, and it was about, I've been watching lots of TED Talks.
So I
Which is
spend my
great.
time now. It's good though, they're so interesting.
They're so interesting. They're about things you don't even think about. Like, there was a guy who was like head of marketing, and he was talking about how like extremist parties use like similar skills, like marketing tactics that companies use to try to sell you something. And they were talking about how it begins with like, okay, so they look at like, what do they want to sell as an ideology or like a style or a look?
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, who suits that? And then he was just going down, and getting to this really finer details of being like, okay, well, a different example, but he then like said, okay, now I'll make it specific for this event. I can go on Facebook and look at the invite list and see a majority of the people who are here. I can then use those to get statistics of age groups, gender, what la-di-da, whatever I need.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, so now I know that what type of people they are because, one, they click the attending on Facebook, which not a lot of people do. They have made the effort on the weekend to get here, to come to this. So you're looking at people who are interested in like new ways of thinking or like extracurricular curricular things.
Yeah.
And then with that, and then he got like really fine like details. And then he was like, now with that information, I can approach a company that might sell book subscriptions
self-help
or
books
something.
or something like that.
You know, something really like that would suit that market, suit that criteria of clientele, I suppose.
Yeah.
And give them the information, and then your email address, which you publicly gave on through Facebook, and they can then email you ads for said book or whatever. And it was just like, wow. And then he was saying that same thing about the extremist groups, and it's like about ideology and targeting specific people, and like one person out of 100 is still like one person.
Yeah.
Because then that itself can become a chain of like more and more people.
Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about before, like very different, but sort of like that. Actually, maybe it's a bit too different, but I was going to say how we were talking about like when you're doing like your creative job or whatever, and then people find out about you through word of mouth, but it's like because one person talks to another person, and those two people might talk to one other person, so that's three people then, and I guess like it's not the same obviously because you're not trying to make a cult or some of
but the idea itself is like the same in the sense of people, like information spreads very well through word of mouth, conversation, networking, people meeting people,
and like, it seems easy because you're like, oh, I just heard about this thing, like it's so simple, like I didn't have to even research it, like I just know this person, or like someone told me about it, or I saw it on Instagram. And I guess that would be the same with that stuff, like it's just slowly like not brainwashing them, but I suppose it is like they're just slowly like getting all this information through social media, through their emails, and they're like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting, this is right up my alley, like I want to be a part of this. It seems good. And they like promote that it's like a community and a good place to be and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So scary. Or they would probably even feed off these kind of people's insecurities. Because it's like, 100%. Do you feel alone in the world? Like,
well, like fashion and everything. Like,
I
remember like on the TED Talk where the guy was talking about the marketing, he also like began by talking about like selling like a pair of shoes, and he was like, you may think your style is unique to you, but you're just like the result of what marketing thinks you want. And there's a big group that would have got that same email. You're not just like, oh my god, I'm so quirky. Exactly. Also really interesting kind of side note, but kind of intertwined with this idea. If you go on Facebook into like settings, I can't remember the exact process. Maybe I'll do it somewhere. You can find all the information. You can download all the information that Facebook has of you. So all the comments you've ever made, all the posts, all the photos, videos, what ads are targeted to you. Just like everything.
That's creepy.
But you can get it all. And it's like, I got it, and then I was like, I need to start getting rid of stuff.
Yeah. It's like when it's like Facebook does that on this day, and you read your old statuses, and you're like, I need to delete this status ASAP.
Yes.
If anyone who commented on this got this notification, I am so embarrassed. Like the shit I said, it's just disgusting, or something like that. But it's crazy.
I feel like I just think everyone was such in a place where they're like, oh, no one will be able to ever see this unless they're like my friend, or if they go back to look at it.
And we didn't know the information that we know now, that that people can get into this. Like, I mean, we probably knew, like, oh, you hackers, haha, like, but it seemed like it was some crazy, like, some, not even crazy, it's just some random person sitting alone in their study doing it for fun or something. But it's like, actually, if they can do it, like, governments can do it, and, like, big companies like Facebook and stuff can do it, and they will do it, and they will use it
for
not
their benefit.
against you in a way. Like, they're not going to... Well, some people would, like, blackmail you.
And it's like, I suppose
It's
not...
capitalism.
Yeah, it's not a personal attack. It's more of a... Oh, they've just used your information as a person.
Yeah.
Like, they could remove the name and then just, like, you know what I mean? Just
that's
put
all they
bunch
don't
of as
even
a
need the
statistic.
name. It's like, it's more like they just need to know, yep, you're a 26-year-old woman who likes the colour pink. So here, we're going to put all pink drink bottles.
Yeah.
You said your Google search that you wanted a new drink bottle. Here's a pink drink bottle. Oh my god, look at this ad I found on Facebook. I can't believe it. And, like, even though I sit there and I'm like, oh, that's, like, so targeted because I searched this, but then at the same time I'm still clicking on it.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, they got me.
I still catch myself, like, scrolling through and then seeing something and be like, oh, that's really nice. Like, I've actually bought a few things through Instagram.
Like those little ads that come up
Yeah.
in stories.
Like, yeah.
Or even on the feed.
Or just, like, promoted ads. You know, like, promoted clothes. I have a bunch of hoodies that are, like, there's one that's, like looks like Neapolitan ice cream colours.
Yes, you wore that last week.
Oh, it's really nice.
I love that one.
But that's from Instagram. I found that through Instagram. And that was, like, obviously just because they thought I would like that. And I did like that.
And I do like it.
So it's like...
and I bought two.
And that's where it gets complicated because it's like, how much are we willing to, like, be okay with?
Yeah.
For the comfort and ease of not having to search for the things we want.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people, they're just like, oh, well, it's going to happen anyway. And it's like, well, it doesn't have to though. Like, you can hide those things, or you don't go on Facebook, or you, like, you deactivate and, like, delete everything or whatever. Because I actually have a friend. She works at this company and she was working in the cybersecurity, like, sector of it. And she said that she did, like, a short, like, project or whatever they call it at Telstra. And she was working on cybersecurity for Telstra, and all the people who worked in the IT and the, like, security had, like, the those little things over the camera, over the microphone, and she was like, okay, if these guys are doing it, like, this means that something, like, I mean, everyone sort of knows that, like, you know, like, I have it on my laptop, just like a little sticker and stuff. But then she deleted, like, she didn't delete her Facebook, but she made everything super private. We used to do find friends, like, share each other's location. She deleted that. She didn't, like, want everything that was, like, anything location services based. Only if she turns it on.
That's
then,
so scary.
You know, I'm like, what do you know? Like, how come? Tell me everything.
Well, you do always hear about that. Like, I used to have my computer's covered. My laptop isn't, because my other one was, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But I need to do that now.
Yeah, you're like, be right back. I will be putting some stickers over it.
Yeah. But it's true, because they always say, like, the people actually in the business are always like, it's so easy for someone to have to turn it on and just watch, because they just stumbled across it. What's really scary is there's actually a website. So for my third year folio, the Hold Ripples Down one was all, like, really dark.
Yeah.
I heard about people hacking into people's home cameras, like the surveillance. There's a website you can go to on the Surface web and everything. You can just type it in, and it's literally just webcam
Random
videos, people's houses, like the corner, like their backyard, their driveway stuff.
That's weird.
It was so strange. I, like, for the folio and for school I was watching them to see if anything weird was happening.
What if you saw something? Like,
that would be... I don't even know what you do. Like, well, because you can't see where it is. Like, you can't really see where it actually is.
Maybe call the police. Oh, hi, I've been watching this webcam online. And they'd be like, wait, did you do this thing that's happened? Like,
But the reason I was doing it was it wasn't actually about me watching it. It was more... Well, it actually was. It wasn't about me watching it to watch it.
It's like the fact that it was on there.
It was about how I was feeling that I was, like...
You had access to that. That's why. Yeah. Like, you know,
it makes you feel weird when you watch that. It's strange, because you're seeing like you're seeing people's houses, or,
and
like,
that's private. It's
spaces.
not like they're making a vlog or, like, an Instagram video where they're like, hey, this is my life. Like, it's like, like you said, the garage. It is interesting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I would probably look at that too. Like, now that you've told me, just to see what is happening. But, like,
or, like, they have street corner. There's one. Like, they have ones where you can just watch streets, like street corners. Like, there was one where I was just watching traffic lights, and you just see people driving through.
So weird.
So strange.
Well, we even have a doggy camera, like, we just got from Amazon, and super easy to set up everything. But if you think about it, it's set up through the Wi-Fi. So it's like, of course, like whoever could hack into your Wi-Fi, they could hack into that easily.
Yeah.
It's not like it's some security system. Like, yeah, sure, we have a password, like.
Yeah.
But people can get past that like easily.
They're like, people make just like things to crack those.
Yeah, people.
Specifically for that.
Yeah, even if it's for the good, like, you know, for the government or something, people are trained to hack those things to find out information. So of course there's going to be people who are doing it in a malicious way, either against you or just creepy, like you said with the other camera site. Whatever.
Some people can just teach themselves because they're curious how.
Yeah,
like it's not one of those
hard.
things where it's hard anymore. Like if someone really wants to, they could buy all the equipment, watch hours of like YouTube, or do like heaps of research or anything, and teach themselves how to do it.
Yeah,
and figure out like
anyone could do it. It's not like it's. And I think like maybe our parents, for example, like to say if they found out someone doing that, like if we did it, they'd be like, "Oh, what the heck? Like, what are you doing? Like, it's crazy." But it's like the way we've sort of been brought up with technology, and even though we're not even as involved as like the generation under us is, it's like that wouldn't even be. If someone's told me, like a friend told me, "Oh, I guess what I did, I hacked into someone's like, I hacked into someone's computer," or I mean, I'd be like, why the hell did you do that? For what reason? But like, if it was someone who I knew like was into computers or something and they said they did that, I wouldn't even be like, I would be like, oh my God, how did you do that? But I wouldn't be shocked in a bad way. I'd just be like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, how'd you do it? But I wouldn't even be...
You wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like...
You're desensitized to it weirdly because of the stuff that's like even in movies and TV shows. Even though that's like, just fake. But... Yeah. You know it's not fake though because it can actually happen.
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, exactly. People, there's like the whole like... Technology is like so ingrained now, especially in the younger generation, because they've always had it, and they've always had it from when they're like babies, because that's what like some parents do now. Yeah,
they're just like, oh, here, like I'll turn the TV on while I do this, which I can understand, like, you know. Yeah,
well, I mean, even like I remember once I was out for dinner. And there was a family of 6, and it was a mum and dad, and they were both on their phones, and there were 4 kids, and they were all on little iPads or like iPod touches or like whatever things. And I was like, you're out for dinner though.
Yeah.
Like I can get if you're at a dinner with like it's like a big family thing, and there's like the one like your youngest who's in a bad mood and you need to relax them.
Yeah, or if it's like all
entertain
adults,
them.
and then there's like 2 kids there. Like,
yeah, like okay, but when it's like a family dinner and you're meant to be there together, wouldn't you think like what's the point of going out? Wouldn't you just stay home, like save some money?
Exactly, like are you just going out to just have the dinner? Like, well, obviously, yeah, like
just like get because you can't be bothered cooking.
Yeah,
probably.
Which
I mean, which is fine, but I mean, I just think I would personally prefer. Well, I mean, if that's what people want to do, that's their decision with their children. But I think that it's better to have that personal one-on-one conversation.
So. Or don't talk it at all then. Like not don't talk, like obviously there should be like that openness for the conversation, but if you're not going to talk, then don't just be like, oh yeah, I feel like the iPad is just almost like a band-aid solution to stuff like, oh shit, my kid's going to crack it. Like, and obviously we can't judge, like we don't have children. It might be just the best solution for that family at that stage. Yeah. But it is weird that literally all of them, like well, it's not like one kid who, you know, would maybe crack it. That's what I mean. So
it's like all of them.
That's weird.
And yeah,
and that is what's getting brought up as well. Yeah. Like,
and they're all so intuitive now. Like
your kids will pick up your phone and know exactly, like even like phones that don't have the home button anymore, and they know how to like swipe it open. You're like, what?
And they're built that way. I think it was like with the laptop or the computer. There was like, there are no instructions how to set this up. We want you to like figure it out the best way for you. So it's best for you.
Yeah.
And so when that's the case, of course, kids who are like so like absorbing everything new see this thing that they have no preconceived idea. Like this, like technology for them,
it's cool. Like it's just
always there. Then they're gonna be able to figure it out. Like they figure out how to walk on their own and
legit. Because there's another part of their life. Whereas before it was like, oh my, like when we were growing up, the internet, like that's pretty cool. Like, oh, I'm gonna go on the computer on the holidays or like after school. But it was like, you still had those massive chunky computers and everything like that, and that was like a new thing.
And it wasn't as easy for everyone to get.
No, and our parents were like, what is this thing? And we probably did get it quicker than them. like
Yeah.
in terms of like what you can do on it, whereas they would just use it for the stuff that they need it for, whereas we're like, oh, what's this, like what's that, like actually kind of not research it, but I think because kids are like more intuitive in
Yeah.
that, so like they're see like as a new thing, they're like, oh, what can you do, rather
Yeah.
than like I just need to send an email or I just need to Google something.
And
So
now,
weird.
then, like when they get older and they're in schools and high schools, it's all like so much more ingrained, the social media and the computer
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like I remember when I was in high school, there was a guy that taught himself how to hack the school's intranet.
Yeah,
Oh, I think I said that one time before.
it's
But like
weird.
he just did that. He got in trouble eventually.
Yeah.
But he just taught himself how to do that, and so it's like
Anyone can do it, and that
Anyone-
was like 5
literally
years
anyone can
ago.
do it.
Like,
exactly. Imagine, and all the technology, like computers are faster, like PCs. Everyone uses those like specifically for like hacking. Even like video
Yeah.
games get hacked in like 5 seconds. Like, well, a
or
game.
movies that come out, they get leaked and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. Like,
Well, like Lana Del Rey's whole unreleased catalog got the whole reason it pretty much got out there, like the main chunk of like 200, 300 songs or something, was
that's crazy.
from a guy who hacked her laptop or who hacked her email through hotel Wi-Fi.
What?
I think he went to jail
Oh my
for that
god.
actually.
Well, I guess it's like a complete like, I don't
Invasion
know
of privacy.
Yeah, no matter who it is,
Well, I mean,
like,
well, exactly.
just if they got caught, and of course, if you're gonna do it to a massive pop star, like
Yeah.
you are gonna get caught.
Yeah.
I think that's a like the thing. People will do it to randoms, and like they're not
Yeah.
gonna get caught because this person will be like, "Oh my god, I got hacked."
Yeah.
Go to
It
the
don't-
bank, change their shit or whatever, like, you know. But it's not on that big scale, so they
Yeah.
don't get caught. Imagine all the times they can get in without permission.
Yeah.
Anyone, like,
Yeah.
we're talking about not Apple.
And if it's the company being like, well, if we can do it and we can do it without anyone knowing and get money for it,
yeah,
why wouldn't we do it? That's
Yeah.
pretty much like what the whole like everybody's reason for doing anything in like business or whatever. If I can get money for it, why
Mm.
wouldn't I do it?
which is why there's so much crazy shit happening in the world, and
Yes.
probably always will be.
Exactly.
Well, actually, watch
Well,
this.
hopefully not, but
Well,
I mean,
But money makes people greedy and crazy.
Yes.
So I feel like our generation, like, well, I don't know, like people I know anyway, like money isn't everything. But I do have a few friends that you can tell that they just sort of want to get rich, and like I can't stand feeling comfortable being like having savings and having investments and all that sort of stuff. Like I think everybody wants that in their life, but or maybe not anyway. But it's just like doing things just for money, you know, or like jobs where I'm like, oh, okay, like I would never work something like that, but that's obviously just me. They're
Yeah.
different, but also like they just getting into things or different roles just for money.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. I personally think I would never do anything for money. Like I would rather work like a job that didn't pay that well, but I loved. I
Yeah.
mean, to a point. Like now, I think I'm sort of thinking more money wise, whereas before I didn't. But like just some decisions that people make with career, I'm like, why are you doing that? Is it
Yeah.
just because it's money? Like
And some people, that is the answer. Just
they don't
for the
care about
money.
anything else. Yeah,
And,
they're like, I'm happy to go here and I'm getting paid.
but that's the thing. I think there's some people who are literally just are happy to do that. Are happy to just work and like switch off and earn their money and then do whatever they want all the time. Like,
Yeah, it could be a job that they're not passionate about, or they might not be that, but they don't really care for looking for
Yeah.
it, if that makes sense.
well, someone, I was talking to someone recently and they were saying that their parents said that they were good at math, so that they should do accounting. And so they're thinking they're going to go do accounting.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, like, I mean, if you're good at it, but then it's like, well, I would personally think, because the road I went down was like, I have the same thought as you. I would prefer to be doing something that makes me happy than just be stuck in the rat race.
Yeah.
Just working to get money. And I know that sounds really stupid and whatever, but it's
No,
like, I would rather do something that makes me happy.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't be able to.
No.
I mean,
wouldn't
and
be able to
it's,
sustain that kind of job. Was
yeah.
it?
And in saying that, I have done things I don't want to do in terms of like hospitality jobs or like whatever. No one really wants to work, but I just like can never find myself willing to like settle full like long term for
In that
something
role.
that wouldn't make me happy. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
But then there's people who
Well, the
like,
people who get stuck in jobs for like 7 years that they hate, but just keep
Yeah.
working.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you
If
mean.
I-
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I'm like,
Yeah.
what could I do? There's jobs that you could do that you just like are happy to be there. Maybe it's not your passion, but as long as you're doing your passions like on the side.
Yeah.
And I think I was like stuck in this mindset where I wanted to be doing the stuff that I was passionate about. I wanted it to be like my breadwinner of money, like making all the money, and like don't have to do anything else, like no side hustles or whatever. Like I wanted that to be like what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, it's kind of unrealistic because you haven't started anywhere, so it's not just going to happen overnight anyway. It's going to take probably years, but the journey is like the scary, not scary part, but you're like, oh my god, like how long will it take though?
Yeah.
Like I don't want it to take that long. So I think you just got to keep. I know I've told myself this anyway. Like literally, like this week, I'm like, okay, just find something that you can do, you're happy to do, not like miserable at a job. So even if it is like working at some place that you wouldn't think to work at, but maybe you'd enjoy the kind of work that it is. Like even if it's like
Yeah.
at an office or could be at a store or something, but you're happy there because like the people or something like you said.
Yeah.
But then you do your passions on the side, so it's like, okay, I've got that balance, and I know that eventually maybe my passion will become my job, but actually just got to kind of nurture that
Yeah. Well,
that thing. Yeah.
well,
Let it grow.
I remember when I decided to do photography and like study that.
Yeah.
At the time, I told myself that it's gonna be really hard to like make it and like be able to live. But then I was thinking, well, at least I'm trying to do something I really want to do. And so I prepared myself for it's gonna be a grind. You're not gonna be able to do it until whatever happens. But at least you're doing what you really want to do.
Yeah.
And if you have to do it, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Everyone works doing that.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like happy to settle on that. And I have been like the jobs I've had have been good and they've been fine. And I have been able to do a lot of my photography jobs on the side because of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, is this what I want to be doing in the long term?
Yeah.
Like I was happy doing photos and doing hospitality, but then is there a way I can just do photos or like figure out something that'll, I don't know.
It's hard. Well, my
It's
mum
really hard.
always says, like she said to clients, she said to me before, she's like, okay, so you're doing something like full-time, like your full-time job, and then you're doing your other work on the side. And like she advocates to me a lot. She's like, yeah, come to the office like these many days a week and then spend one day doing your design and creative things, and then I have like a day off, right? Because I only work 4 days. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. But she like was saying come to the office and do like that design day at the office, so it's like no distractions from home, all that sort of stuff, because like obviously you can get distracted at home, and I don't know, like I know I personally need to like motivate myself, like, well, not I'm motivated and I have all these ideas, but I need to like actually be like, so you're doing it now, like pretend like you're literally at a 9 to 5 doing the thing that you like.
Yeah.
And then it scares me because I'm like, oh my god, does that sound like I'm making myself do it? Like I don't love it anymore. But I'm like, no, it's just because you're a lazy shit. You actually have to make yourself do it. But then she'll be like, oh, you know, if you're only putting in part-time effort something, it'll always only be your part-time job or part-time passion or whatever. But then I'm like, but I don't have the time to make it full-time, like, because I do have to make money still. So it's like, if I just quit work, like, yeah, sure, I can save money maybe beforehand, then quit. But still, it's like that uncertainty. And I think that's always going to be the case. So with like freelance jobs and those creative jobs that are happening at the moment, even people who are like on Instagram, like selling products or even just selling what they say and like, you know, doing sponsored ads, all that kind of stuff, because it's like, will that go away at some stage? Like, surely.
Well, I just remembered, as you said, we were saying that I remember in uni, a lot of our lecturers and stuff would have their like, they would be working like 2 or 3 jobs. Like they would be lecturing as well as like being a photographer or being a commercial photographer, or maybe they work at a print shop, you know what I mean? Like
things that kind of intertwined with what they're passionate about,
Yeah.
but they're sort of just the money makers, and
Yeah.
then it's like their passion thing
Yeah.
that they're still doing. So it's like,
Yeah.
how do you even have time to do all that,
Yeah.
people? Like, because I always feel like I don't have enough time. But recently I've been thinking, like, no, actually I do have, like, I really have to tell myself, like, literally every morning, especially on my days off, I'm like, you have enough time to do everything. Don't stress out. Like, don't feel like when Monday comes, you've just wasted your weekend or wasted your time off. Like, you have time.
Yeah.
Chill. Like, it's okay.
Are you a list person?
I will write lists, and like, it does feel good to like check it off. But I'm the kind of, like, I've realized a lot of things lately. I'm like, it's like the year of realizing stuff. I realize, like, I will like maybe write a list one day. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I just checked on everything. That's so good. And I'm like, I'll try that the next day. Or like, I won't do it the next day. And I'm like, oh, like, how come I'm not like making money off this now? Like, I did one day of really good productivity. Like, why am I still in the same position? It's like, yeah, I actually have to do it more than one day. Like, crazy. Yeah, like, you have to try.
Everything is a process. Everything's a journey.
Your life, your relationships, your friendships, your job, your home.
Yep, you got to put effort into all those things to sustain them. I think I heard it a few times somewhere, just randomly, of people being like, there's always, like, no one can ever have it all. There's always, like, one area of someone's life that you just don't have enough energy to like put as much,
like, make everything
you just can't put as much energy into it, or something. And what would you have an area you think you don't like?
Like, how many areas can you have?
Like,
oh,
no, that's like a really intense question. We don't ask that. Well, I mean, I'm just, maybe an easier way to visualize it is like Inside Out, when in her mind she's got like the 5 islands, and it's like family, friends, hobbies, school, you know. Is there one you feel like you wish you put more into?
I don't know, because I always feel like, you know, everyone's always like, life is a balance. Like, it's always got to be balanced. It's not always going to have just good or just bad. Like, there's always going to be both and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like, oh my god, it's actually a really hard question. I kind of have like things to say, but I'm also like, I don't know if it's that anyway.
I feel like I think it's one of those things it's one of those questions you'd have to think about. Because now I'm thinking, like, I honestly wasn't expecting that to come out sounding like,
tell me your life problem.
Yeah, but it actually is a really interesting question. Yeah. Because you got to then think for yourself, well, what's my relationship with my family? Have I seen my friends lately? Have I been having good relationship with my friends? Have I been upset a lot lately? Have I been mad? Why have I been mad?
And when it's your life, it's just another day for you. So you don't ever think about it too long. I mean, you do. Like, I definitely a person who thinks a lot about everything. So it's like,
I get that.
Crazy. Like, making up stuff in my head too. That's something I've got to work on. Anyway, moving on. But like,
well, I always thought it was it's like when you look in the mirror and suddenly, like, for me, I would be like, okay, I'll look in the mirror and then I got a hobo beard. Like, it's long.
Where did it come from?
It's unkept. Exactly. But it's because you see yourself every day, you look in the mirror, you don't notice your hair growing, like, unless you're really looking. Yeah. You're not paying attention to, like, if your hair's grown another centimeter or...
No. But then it's like if I saw you 3 weeks ago and then today I go, oh my god, your hair's grown. You go, has it?
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, it's been like this for ages.
Yeah, like, why didn't you notice? But also it's like, well, what did you notice? Like, when someone like picks out, you interpret it as a bad thing they picked out about you. Like, oh, I never noticed you had brown eyes, Seb. But just I said it like that. Yeah. Even though I knew you had brown eyes, by the way. I'm a good friend, okay?
She's never looked me in the eye for 6 years.
Like, oh, Seb, I don't want to look at you.
No, but
too beautiful.
No, I'm like staring at your eyes to be sure I got them.
What colour are my eyes?
No, they're like, oh no, they're orange.
Orange?
No, they're like grey, greeny, like, yes. They wouldn't say...
Because everyone always says, like, they're like, you've got brown eyes. And I'm like, my eyes were brown maybe when I was like 3, okay? Yeah. And then they turned hazel. And then they turned brown again, and now they're very hazily, but in the light, like in the sunlight, they can be very green. And I'm like, oh my god, I got green eyes.
We've got natural light coming in from the side, and that you can see them in their green, grey glory. They're beautiful. Beautiful colours.
Oh, sorry.
I remember one time...
brown eyes are bad, but I think growing up, I'm like, oh, I don't want to
there was always that, like... So it wasn't a stigma, but people would just be like, "Oh, brown eyes," because people with blue eyes, like there's so many less people with blue eyes.
How crazy is that though? It's like ingrained.
Well, exactly, yeah. Like why? But then I remember once someone came up to me at high school and they were like, "I never noticed your eyes are so dark. They look like deep holes," and I was just like,
"Oh my
thanks."
God.
But then I would always like at home just randomly, not because of that. I would be I would like get a light and like shine it through the side and then look in the mirror and you can like makes it all bright. And I was like,
Yeah.
I like my eyes.
Oh, that's cute.
And it was
though.
like, she's just a bitch.
Yeah, she's an
Yeah.
asshole. I remember someone actually said to me once, they were like, "Oh, your eyes, like when you smile, they droop down in the corners," and I was like, "Do they?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I smiled in the mirror and I was like, "Oh, they do." And I was like, "What?" Like, and like when it's like might be someone who's important to you, or even as a friend or some random, you like really hold on to that.
Yeah.
And then like now I'm like, oh, okay, like. If someone said it to me now, I'd be like, ha, okay.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe not though, even like if someone's close to me.
Well, that depends on who they are, what they say, and then it's like if you personally think about that.
Yeah, or if maybe even if you're having a bad day, you feel
Yeah.
insecure about it, and then you always think about it.
Exactly. I always like flashback to like high school, and just because like it's just different when you're in high school. You know
People
what I mean?
have no filter.
Yeah, and exactly, and you don't think about how your words are actually going to impact the other person.
Because you don't know that they actually will. It's not that you're
Yeah.
being an asshole half
You
the
just
time.
don't think about it.
Yeah.
Or you'd like just
Like
the
obviously
amount-
there are bullies who would do it
Yeah.
on purpose, but there's a lot of time your friends would say stuff that you would be like, "Oh, what the heck?" But they're not actually trying to hurt you or anything like that.
I remember me and my friends used to just be like, just say like stupid, like just so we were funny and just say stupid stuff to each other. And like we'd always like back and forth, but it was like, God, those are actually awful.
Yeah.
They're really bad sometimes. Like
It's so weird to think about now, because like I would never say that to my friends.
and
or-
like because especially during that time, I think when you're older, you can reflect on how you were in that time, and like I've been thinking about it, and just like thinking about like how I acted, and I've been thinking about it because I can't remember if I said to you last time or if I said something else, but I found in year 11 I did a media project, day in the life of Seb video.
Oh,
And I
cute.
made it, and like I was like vlogging at
my
school for like a
God.
week, but it wasn't even
That's
like
awesome.
vlogging. It was just me like talking to the camera and then just turning it around and like just being crazy. Like it was strange, but I had made it, and like I had always wanted to find it. I found it like 3 or 4 years ago, and on a CD because I accidentally deleted the files, I think, or it was on a laptop that died.
Yeah.
I couldn't get, or whatever happened to it. And I've been trying to find it. I never found it, but then I found the original files,
Oh my
and
God.
I like was watching. I finally got them to work, and was watching it, and was just like, oh my gosh, I was so like loud and weird, and just like the way people would talk with each other, or like I would talk with my friends, or like two people would be interacting, like I was just like, what? That's so I could never, like, I would never. I was like, why would anyone be my friend?
Yeah.
I feel so cringy now looking back at it, just being like, but I mean, everyone probably thinks about that when they're in
Sure, I reckon.
in
Like,
high school.
even, yeah, definitely.
Well, being a teenager is a weird time because everything's changing and you're like figuring things out, and
But then nothing's too serious. But then
Yeah.
also, like, your life's crumbling if one bad thing
Yeah,
happens. But
but-
then you think about the stuff that's happened to your life now, and you're like, wow, I was crying back then about that.
Yeah.
Like, why?
what a loser.
Yeah. How dare I?
Literally. But it's just a strange thing.
Hmm.
Do you remember once?
Sorry, like, I know you're about to ask a question,
That's
but like,
fine.
it's like when, like, I don't know, being in a relationship, like, obviously I've been in a relationship. It's like my first real relationship, but like, I don't know, I've like just come to realize like they're a lot of work, like, and like not in a bad way, but you do like, you can get so angry about little things, or like frustrated at each other about stuff, but then you actually realize after the fight or argument, whatever happened, or even if it's just like a disagreement, or even not a disagreement, like just the way that you guys both feel about something differently, and you're like, I don't understand why, and then you're like, oh, actually, you're a completely different person, you interpret that really differently. Or it's like if you say something and they get offended and you're like, well, what? Like, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
But then you have to like kind of take a step back and be like, oh no, I really didn't mean it like that. Like, I'm sorry that happened. But yeah, you just never know how someone else is actually, what they're going through that day, what they're feeling. Like, even if you are in a relationship with them, even if it's your brother, your sister, your mum, your dad, like, you don't know. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, you can't put that on people either though. Like, the person who just cracks it about something that you've said, but you didn't know they were having a bad day, they can't expect you to have known.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of parents do that.
Yeah.
Just put that out there. Like, Mom, if you're
Spill it.
listening, no,
Yeah.
cut that out. But seriously, like, I feel like you do hear about it a lot, like parents putting a lot of pressure on their children like
Yeah.
that. But then when you get older, you realise, oh no, it's because they were going through this during their life. That's probably why they were like that to me, blah, blah. But it's like, but in that moment, how could a child know that, you know? Or even not a child, an adult. Like, anyone who can't read your mind, they're not going to.
Well, exactly. Like, exactly. If you don't tell people why you're mad, they're not going to know why you're mad. Unless it's obviously a reason. Like,
they should have
I spilled that, I broke that glass. Like, and
then you...
And left the glass there, and my niece played with it. Like... They can get mad at me.
Yeah.
Like, that's reasonable. But when it's just, like, you're in a... I always say this when I'm in, like, a bad mood. Sometimes I can get in such a bad mood. I literally feel a muck of gross glob just, like, oozing out of me and just, like, impacting people. And I hate that quality about me. But I was in it, unfortunately, like, the other week when I was sick.
Yeah.
And I, like... It took me having an actual conversation. It said, like, for a while I was just, like, festering in it. So I was making myself angrier because I was festering in it.
Yeah.
And then we went out to dinner with I went out to dinner with mum and dad, and now I feel so bad just because I was in the worst. I shouldn't have gone out for dinner. It was just we had gone out as well, and it was, like, super busy. And I was like, why are we here? It's so busy. Like, what's the point? We'll just go somewhere else. I don't want to wait. Just, like, that just, like, started the tone of, like, where I was at there. And I should have just gone home. I feel really bad. Just not that I was, like, swearing or shouting at them or anything, but I was just like, you just, like, don't, like it was just awful. It was just not, like, nice.
You just feel like, especially with the people closest to you, like your family or your partners or your best friends or something, like, I think we do put pressure on them like that. Like, you expect them, you should know that I was feeling... Because I do this exact same thing. Like, oh my God, like, we should have just known that I was annoyed. Like, you shouldn't have talked to me. Or...
It's not even that you're doing it on purpose.
No way,
it's more just like,
it's like an overwhelming
I've gotten to
feeling.
this point where I just don't want to talk to anyone. And then in saying that, it doesn't, like... It's not like... I am like, well, that's it. Like, I was in a bad mood, so it's okay. Like, I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So
it's not like you're.
It wasn't like malicious. It wasn't like there wasn't a malicious intent.
No.
It was just a result of where I was at the moment, and so I apologized to them both because I felt bad. And we actually, the next day, because we came home and I spoke to mum and felt better. And then felt bad and was thinking about, like, why I was feeling that way and trying to, like, uncover that actually, as opposed to just sitting in it. Well, it's also like, it's important because if you don't know why, how do you fix it
the next time? And, like, how do you own it?
How do you not do it again?
I think it's because your body almost, and your mind takes, like, over your body, and you kind of go into, like, fight or flight mode. Yeah. Like, you're like, well, it's like, for example, your dinner example. Like, you know, you went out, weren't feeling good. You went out for dinner. You're really stressed. Just, like, in your head, but, like, you're stressed about something, like, you're physically stressed sort of thing. Yeah. And then your mum and dad, oh, hey, Seb, like, do you want to go out? Like, let's go here. This looks good. Yeah, sure. Okay, like, they're sort of like, well, that's a bit weird. Like, why is he grumpy? And then you're like, why are we here? It's busy because you're just sort of stressed because there's so many people around. But it's not actually because, like, you're not stressed because you're out for dinner. You're not, like, unhappy that you're out for dinner with your parents or anything like that. It's just, like, I don't know, this isn't coming out right, but I was thinking, like, you're kind of, like, you're so stressed in, like, the environment that your brain is like, get out. So you're just like, if I, like, you don't want to be like, oh, I should crack it and then I'll get out of the situation. Yeah. Like, your body's just like, oh, like, I just don't want this to be happening right now. I don't have any control of what's happening. So, like, it's like you're almost trying to gain control by lashing out or whatever's happening.
Exactly. You don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to feel powerless, even though that's exactly how you're feeling. Yeah. So the best way to counter that is to be defensive, turn it on the other people, and be like, well, this is a plug, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then...
But literally, you turn it on them because you're like, I'm just annoyed. Like,
because you want to be, because you're then trying to deflect from you. Yeah. And then, but then that, like,
it just
doesn't
do
what you want to do. Yeah, it doesn't do what you want to do. Because I remember sitting there and then and then, like, thinking, like, well, bleh, but then being like, oh my god, should I have said that? And being like, I was just thinking, should I have, like, said that? But then being like, I just like, you couldn't, even though I was aware of it, I just like couldn't control it. It was so strange.
I think that's really
gross.
scary. Like, not scary.
I'm going crazy. No.
But you kind of feel like it in a way, because then you're like, oh, I wish I, like, even in that exact moment, like, fuck, I wish I didn't say that because that was really rude, or that would have been come across really bad. Like, shit, I wish I just didn't say anything, or maybe why'd I have to crack it about that little stuff? Like, I always realize that. I'm like, why am I getting angry about the tiniest little things that literally, like,
and that
I
adds
might
to
not
the
get
frustration.
Yeah, and then you think about it in hindsight, and you're like, whoa, that is nothing on the scale of things. Like, why? And obviously, in that moment, it was, and it meant something. But even then, you're like, no. Even if I could go back to that moment, felt exactly the same way as I was, I would not get angry about a little thing, because that just like festered onto even more things and like made this monster basically. And I think that comes down to also like how people view you, because you're like, you get self-conscious then about why you said that and how what they're thinking of you now. Yeah. But it's like, if everyone just like,
everyone just needs to chill out.
Everyone needs to chill out, communicate, and everyone can be like, don't talk to me right now because I do not want to be talked to. Leave me alone.
And it's like,
it takes two to tango.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's all just hard, and it's complicated, and it's frustrating as well, because I've been trying to be really conscious and aware of my moods, and I have been. It's also really complicated, and it's like I was saying before, it's literally a process to try to change things. You have to put effort into it and energy. Kind of like we were talking about before, what area would you put things into? It's like, and we were saying, wow, full circle. When you like look in the mirror and you don't notice the change because you'd be looking at it all the time. But it's like just say with friends example, you see a friend and maybe you had a bad time, and then you're like, oh, don't worry about it, whatever, see them next time and it's okay. But then it's because of there's that separation that you can acknowledge it and go back to it.
And then fix it or work on it. And like, that's awesome if people can do that. But then it's like the concept of a lot of older generation, I can't change, I've always been like this, because they've never really thought about what they've done or like how it affected someone else. They sort of like put that defense up and put that stuff up that you're like, no, I'm not trying to actually pick on you, it's just like, this is how it made me feel. So maybe you should change that. But then they're like, no, you should just have felt that way, or like, I did nothing wrong. And you're like, you did actually. And
it's hard as well, because it's like, it's a completely external thing. Like, external influence. Like, your emotions and figuring that stuff out is hard, because your body you will react the way your body thinks it needs to react to survive. Like you said, back to the flight or flight thing.
And if you've been doing that certain reaction your whole life, or you've been taught that from people around you in your environment, then you're kind of like it's like you're basically like a victim to your environment, like the way you've been brought up, or the high school that you went to, your friend group that you had. And like, it's like when people get bullied like severely, and then they believe that what people have told them, and then when they get older they have all these like trust issues, or they don't make friends because they're scared of what's going to happen to them, or they believe what people have told them because it's just become their like life, so they're going to just react to how they've been like it's ingrained inside of them. But I feel like with these little things, like when you're like, oh shit, I wish I didn't say that, because you kind of know like, oh no, I wish I didn't say that, like I could change that. But like, I think that's a good way, like, because you're not really, it's not you. Oh, I don't know do you know what I mean? I'm not explaining it right, but
it's like really complicated. It's a complicated idea, because it also, like, I was just thinking when you started talking about like, we are the result of our environment. We learn from what we see when we're little. So we learn from the adults around us and how they act and how they go about situations, because you don't see anything else. Like, I would think about some things when I was a teenager of what I thought were just like, okay, just was, because I'd seen it in a movie. Or maybe not a teenager, maybe 12, 11, like maybe a bit older than I should have been.
Last week or something.
I only just realized movies weren't real.
Like,
well, I
mermaids are real. I just watched Ariel.
I thought the Titanic, I thought Rose and that were real people.
Oh yeah, me too. Like when I watched it the first time.
A lot of people, some people didn't think the Titanic happened because they thought it was just a movie.
Yeah.
So
I think I probably thought that, like when I first would have watched it. Like I would have thought.
I remember finding out my sister didn't know it was real, whilst someone knew it was real, like, made fun of that. She didn't know. So I think maybe in my mind I was just like, oh, I knew all along. But
Even
I mean,
though you
who
just
knows?
knew from that conversation that you overheard, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen to me or
Yeah.
something.
So the question I wanted to ask you before that we never ended up getting to, but we are going to now, was in around 2014 when we had our crazy partying time, which we haven't fully talked about, which we might. But anyways, I remember asking you and just being like, hey, Dragana, do you ever like think about the way you think and think it's changed? Like the way you think has changed? And I remember you just being like, what do you mean, Sam? And I was just like, I don't know. Do you remember
I do
that?
not remember
No,
that
no.
at all. And I can guarantee if you had said that to me, I probably would have been so confused about what you meant. That's why I would have been like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But like now, I would totally think about something like that. Like, whoa. Like, or just if I would have been in my own little world, been like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Like,
And like I would not have probably articulated it at all. That probably didn't even do it any justice, like the actual question.
or sometimes in your head, you know exactly why you're asking that question because it stemmed off like a thought or a story or something that just happened, like a conversation that maybe we were having, and then that's why it makes sense to you to ask. But I don't know, like
Yeah,
that
you haven't
part.
got that
So I'm like,
context.
what are you talking about? Yeah.
Does that make you think of anything now? Like, do you like change?
I do. Like as I've gotten older, I do. I think, but.
It's like, it's funny saying that because I always talk about how I get worried and anxious, but I literally try hard most of the time to push through that, to like try new things because I like change.
Yeah.
Because I want to experience new things. And it's like, maybe the anxiety like goes into the not wanting to sit still, of being like, I need to do as much as I can because it's all
Yeah, I don't have
ending.
time. I
Yeah,
do it.
like, I don't know.
I think we always feel like we're like a step behind, you know, like where we
Yeah.
should be. It's almost like when you look at people like who you might have gone to uni with or something and what they're doing, and you're like, oh, how come they have that cool job, or how come they've got their own, I don't know, company, or they're doing this full time, but I'm just here. And they're like, oh, it's because I haven't, like, they literally worked really hard, blah blah blah. But it's like, I think you only focus on like what you want to change, like in a sense as well. So like that's a different part of change, because you focus on like what you want to be different, but you don't take it as like, oh, cool, like I want to have my own business by the end of the year, for example. So what are you going to do to change it? Like, yeah, I can say I want it, but that's not going to do anything. Like, I actually have to make those little changes in my life every single day to be able to get there. And then you also can't beat yourself up if it's not happening as fast as you want it. It's going to happen when it's like going to happen, and when you put the effort in, and when it's supposed to. Sometimes it's not going to be right either at that time.
Yeah, and it, like, I was thinking it kind of goes hand in hand with like a projection of what you want from other people, or what you can see yourself in other people, and then you being like, well, how are they there if I'm not there? And it's like, everyone is on a different journey, in a different process. They got there based on all the different things that have gone into it that I have no idea about.
You just see what you want to see.
Exactly. And then and especially then you put that with like, you're in a sad mood or you're mad.
Yeah.
Then you're just like, you just like makes you feel even worse. Because it's just a crazy time. It's all crazy. It's all awful.
It's true. But it's like
but it's all amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't think I let you properly answer, but do you like change, you're saying?
Yeah. I don't know, like, I think I do, but I feel like I'm like, I don't know how to answer it, like, because I do like change, but then obviously when things happen, like, that you maybe don't like, but like, you know, when like, maybe bad life events happen and you're like, oh god, this changed everything, and especially if it's like unexpected, you're like, what the hell, like, but okay, that sounds really vague, but like, I just mean like,
I get what you mean, because it's not that, it's kind of goes back into the hindsight thing of being like, I can at least now see, like, I'm sad that happened, but at least now I can see how I have made that a better thing out of what it being bad. But then at the time, it's always the worst when you're in it. It's like when people say to you, one door closes, another door opens. At the time, that's not what you want to hear.
No.
You want
to punch that person in the face for saying that, because you're like, why don't you give a shit about what's happening right now? Like,
I'm like trying to figure this all out. Like, what does that even mean? Like, and then, but then in however many years, months, or whatever depending on what it is, you'll be like, oh no, like, I'm so glad I did that because now I have this and everything's fine. But at the time when you're in it, you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
You're only figuring it out. You're only finding out as it happens.
As it happens, yeah. And I think that's when it stresses you out too, because you know how much is going to maybe change your future, or like how it's not going to be the same as it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So you just freak out 'cause you're like, oh my gosh, like it's going to all change. Like,
Yeah, that
I
comfort's
can't control
gone.
it or something. And yeah, what did you said something and it made me. I'm supposed to end this.
I know, I'm
like
wondering.
half an hour
I
ago.
know, I love how we were like, we'll talk about something that won't be so huge.
Yeah, we're like, well, feel free to cut out whatever you want.
I might have to trim it down for a little bit.
Fair enough.
But
Very
you know
fair
what? It's
enough.
okay.
You do what you need to do.
I love that we went for so long though. I'm glad though. I actually feel like we had a really nice conversation.
It was really good. Like, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I was like gonna start a little vlog today, so like before I came here I was like, hey everyone, like I'm going to meet my friend Seb, and like we're doing a podcast. He has a podcast, blah blah blah. And I was like, I bet you we're gonna talk for hours and go on tangents, and that's literally exactly what happened.
Oh my god, I love that so much.
Yep.
What's that for? What is that? Is that like a thing you do? Is that a personal thing?
It's kind of like for YouTube, like, cause I always like want to get back into it when I stop, but then I always go through like phases where I'm like, oh, should I be doing that? But now I'm kind of just trying to try it out before asking too many questions, if that makes sense, because I always I'm like, should I do this, should I not, and then don't do anything. So yeah, I'm just trying to do more than think about doing it, and just see how it goes.
I love that. I love that you do it. I hope you still do it, your YouTube, because I watched your videos. They're so cute. I love them.
You.
But before, I will get you to quickly plug that in a second. But this is where we're gonna wrap it up here. The end. No, what? But I think we're gonna bring the conversation to an end here. Thank you, Dragana, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It was so good having you. We did have such a long conversation. It was great.
It was very good.
I will record a proper outro later. But I was wondering, is there anything you want to plug?
Well, we were just talking about YouTube, so I've got a YouTube channel. It's kind of a work in progress, but you know, I'm trying to get back into it. And
What's it called?
just my name, Dragana Przujj. So it's in my Instagram bio, so if anyone wants to click on it, they can.
And I'll link it in the description as well.
Thanks.
Is this okay? It's fine. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming. And I think, okay, we're going to wrap it up here then. Thank you for listening, guests. Thank you. Take it away. Outro said. Bye. See, I told you that was going to be a roller coaster, and it was, but like roller coasters, it was great. And thank you, Dragana, for coming on the podcast again. It was amazing. You're amazing. If you're interested in following Dragana on YouTube or Instagram, I've made sure to add her socials in the description below. I've also decided this time to add in the TED Talks that I've mentioned, just because they're really, really interesting and I did no justice to them whatsoever. The podcast is available on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes. I think that's it. I don't know what else I need to say. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Dragana. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.